Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foresite Fridays. I'm Tom Allen, Principal Cybersecurity Consultant for Foresite, and today we're going to be answering some of your questions about security, and it's especially a good question today because of the working from home and all the news about Zoom. So we're going to go ahead and go through how do we Zoom meeting securely. So there's about 5 things that I want to discuss about doing Zoom, but doing it securely. The first thing is multi-factor authentication. You've probably heard of this. Some of your other accounts have it. So when you sign in, oftentimes you get prompted by something on your phone for a code to then sign in. Well, Zoom has the ability to do multi-factor authentication. Now, let me caution you that this is an admin setting. So if it's your company's Zoom, you may not be able to set this up. If it is your company's Zoom, then I would say find out who your Zoom admin is and ask them about it. The second way to secure your Zoom meeting is to use a waiting room. So a waiting room is where when your participants connect, they get put in a room. They're not immediately on the meeting, and you could view that room before you start the meeting. That way you can look for any unknown or confusing people who are connected. Sometimes people connect via phone, so you'll only see a phone number, but you'll see them connected via the Zoom chat. You want to identify all those people before you start the meeting, because that's where this thing that you've probably heard about called Zoom bombing comes from. Someone figures out your ID and bombs into your meeting and does something ridiculous, or can just listen in if you have sensitive information you're talking about. The next thing is that custom ID we want to talk about. So every Zoom person, every Zoom participant or member has a custom ID. So that custom ID goes with you everywhere, and that's how your meetings get created. But if that ID gets public, then people could figure it out and they could try to listen in and try to jump into your meetings. So what you want to do is create a custom ID each time you create a meeting. And that way, that changes all the time, and they'd have to really find a way to guess or brute force your meeting. The fourth step to securing is to lock your meeting once you're in. So once you start that meeting, all your participants are on, you've looked at the waiting room, you then lock that meeting. No one else can join, no one can come in, and that way no one's going to be able to bomb or eavesdrop on your meeting because you've locked it. Finally, the fifth thing is called a virtual background. You'll notice here I don't have any virtual background. I'm just using the background that is behind me at the house I'm in. Why use a virtual background? Well, there's a couple reasons. So the first reason is if you're very concerned about privacy. So you don't want people to know where you are. So say you're a Kardashian or something, and you're very concerned about people figuring out where you are, then you don't want to use whatever background you have because people might be able to figure that out. Secondly, there was a very famous incident where a famous sort of cybersecurity person who's well known was doing a TV interview. Behind them was written in clear text on a board their Wi-Fi password. There's a couple ways to deal with this. One is you could do what I did today, which is check the camera ahead of time, make sure there's nothing behind you that's identifiable, nothing that you don't want seen behind you. Secondly, you could use what's called a virtual background. So Zoom has these backgrounds that you can either upload yourself or they have canned ones. So again, 5 things to secure your Zoom meetings. MFA, if your administrators will allow you. A waiting room, check people out before you let them in. Custom ID, so you're not using the same meeting ID for all your meetings. Lock the meeting once the meeting's begun. And use a virtual background if you feel concerned about the background and your privacy and things. So those are our top 5 things. Thank you for the question. It was an excellent question. And hopefully we'll be seeing you here for more Foresite Friday.